Okay, this is a bonus one I'm going to do. I might as well get 3 videos up now that I'm telling here. This is an extension of near versus normal chess. I am going to, at this point, just show how to play one of the versions of formations chess. It's called formations because there are a lot of different ways to set up here. The version I'm going to show, just to keep it simple and allow maximum flexibility, and this will be advanced version after you played near versus normal, you can do like that, is pretty much the open play. It's using the Marquisian Method. Story of that name is this: it's a term that Christian Freeland came up with. He came up with a game, and actually I stumbled across it, and that's what he described the term. Anyhow, the way it works is, actually I'll explain a little bit about the method. There was a checker player in the 19th century who went by the name of the Marquis. He would hustle people by setting up positions on the checkerboard, and then they would pick sides. Pretty much they would pick sides, whatever they would pick whether side, because he knew the openings, he'd do it. He was from a hustling. The core of the Marquisian Method regarding this here is that person sets up both sides of the board, and after they do that, the other person picks what side they're going to want to play. There's a balancing mechanism. I mean, obviously the person, well, not obviously, but anyhow, the person who sets up both sides is going to be marginally disadvantaged and punished if they pick an unbalanced position. So they want to do it as fairly as possible. I mean, what you're doing here is it's a version of the pie rule. One person cuts the pie, person does it. It just takes it to an extreme. And I will show another video on how to apply the method to regular chess. It's like we're going to do a 4th video. Anyhow, what you do here is one person will pick out one side, and let's say within the first 3 spaces, so you could put the pieces anywhere on the board here. Anywhere on the first 3 rows. The balancing mechanism is that you have to factor in that your opponent's going to pick what they see as a superior position. So let's just throw pieces down. You could also have several pawns together like that. It allows maximum flexibility in what you're doing. And it happens to balance because of this here. Anyhow, so we'll go like that there. Just for giggles, I'm doing this here. I'm just throwing the pieces down. I'm going to set the black side first. Remember, white goes first. Another thing with using the Marquisian Method is that you could add other things that give one side the draw advantage. You could even do things like, he has a rule one side can move twice. You could, and I recommend you put all the pieces on the board, but if you want like this, you could give somebody an extra queen. You could do everything else. It allows you to create puzzle-like positions and up the metagaming here, which is really a good thing. I do think lends depth, and we'll say, let's say we do this here. I am just throwing the pieces down here. So one player will set it up here. And, oh, another thing too, you could do this, they could be on the same color. They don't have to be. Normally you don't want to do it that way. Another thing, because of this here, you could allow normal chess castling with some rules, but there really isn't a need because of where they are. Anyhow. You see this here? One person sets up, the other person decides whether they want to play black or white. The other person who set this up will say, okay, now white's going to go first. Okay, you see this here. And you would end up playing. An object is to capture the enemy king. Again, I'm following near pawn. Pawns promote when they hit the back row to something that's been captured. Again, I would have the thing that if you manage to get a pawn into the back row, it's a win. Anyhow, this is very much basically what you have here. By the way, oh, pawn's moving. If a pawn starts in the 3rd row, actually we'll decide to do something like this here for some reason. Pawn starts in the 3rd row, 1 space only. Okay. Pawn starts in here. You can go 2 spaces, and the same thing with this back here. 2 spaces, 2 spaces, not 3. You can try experiment and make it 3, but I just for comfort level have it as 2. But anyhow, really not good to have pawns back there anyhow. That is pretty much it. Object is to capture enemy king. You can set up the pieces the way you want, and that's pretty much it here. You can be very creative with this here. You could also, by the way, and I'll repeat this in another video just to have it separate. You could do normal chess, and for example, let's apply this to normal chess. And apply it to normal chess. We start off with the pieces here. This is for somebody who wants something a little bit less wild. You really like the idea here. You really want to practice openings, you could do this. You know that you're good at a certain line. Let's say you're good at the Sicilian. You could force the Sicilian, or a version of the Sicilian called the Grand Prix. Grand Prix is my favorite position anyway. And we'll show that off in a minute. You start off here. Here's the pieces on this. Note the colors are not correct according to normal chess rules. I just did not want to adjust that. The queen's supposed to be on white in there. And what I do normally in your chess is you would push it forward, and it can end up being on the color. But anyhow, this color is wrong. Just bear with it. Anyhow. So you could do the following. I'm going to set up the opening as follows. If you want to play this, you could do it this way also. You're doing it a little bit differently. I will repeat this in another video, but anyhow, here we go. You could say, oh, I like the Sicilian, so we're going to play the Sicilian. I like to play the Grand Prix. I like playing Grand Prix both sides. I can do this. That's a Grand Prix opening. I could then offer to my opponent, and they end up playing, saying, I'm going to play white or black. They could do it that way. Now, what I'm going to do here is, let's do the following. I'm going to show you one more thing you can do here. I call it the limited Dutch offer because it tends into a Dutch auction. It's limited because it only happens once. Let's say, for example, somebody did very conventional like this here and decides to offer it. You can allow this as an option, a limited Dutch offer, where you then offer it to one person. That other person can look over and says, I don't like the way this is balancing. Change either this side or this side, and then offer it back. So let's say, for example, the person, white, person looking at it says, I don't like the way black is. They can do this here, adjust accordingly, and then offer that up if you want. Anyhow, or conversely, they could say, I want to match. Let's do this way, and offer it back. Then offer balancing. That's called the limited Dutch offer. It's a version of the Marquisian method. It extends it a bit further. Anyhow, that's the latest. I will do one more video just specifically for how to apply the limited Dutch, the Marquisian method to chess for standardized. Again, I do want to thank you for watching, and may your die always roll 5.